people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. A four-belt showdown with Ellie Scotney could be next. Promoter Eddie Hearn sees an undisputed title challenge in Sky Nicholson's immediate future, provided that she overcomes Mexican former champion, Yuli Hang Luna in Stockton this weekend. I don't think a win over Yuli Hang guarantees that Ellie Scotney will give Sky Nicholson the time of day. Even if it secures Sky Nicholson a mandatory position, should Ellie become undisputed, she might move up right away after that.
And then what?
But you know, that's the way that Eddie Hearn sees it, and that's what Sky Nicholson aspires to. She'll be facing the hard-punching Yuli Hang Luna, who she has a lot in common with. Yuli Hang Luna is a long and limber fighter for her weights, like Sky Nicholson is a long and limber fighter. Yuli Hang Luna likes to hang back, circle away, and set traps, and so does Sky. The difference between them is that Sky is a little bigger, a little taller, a little longer. The difference between them is that Yuli Hang Luna has comparatively showed more power at her weights than Sky has at hers. I remember the night that she fought Barbie Juarez for the WBC title. I believe that was at bantamweight. She really messed up Barbie's face. Well-placed uppercuts, well-placed punches. Yuli Hang has more power, comparatively shown more. I remember the night that she fought Mayeli Flores, the current reigning WBA Super Bantamweight champion. Some years ago, she put Mayeli Flores down off a clean counter, sat her down. Very hard fighter to discourage. So there are definitely some similarities and some differences, but I think what will be the deciding factor is that Sky Nicholson is the taller, longer fighter of the two, and she's gonna hang back. She's gonna set traps, which will in turn force Yuli Hang to come forward. Two fighters with so much in common, who like to box off the back foot and stay behind the jab. If one is taller than the other, that forces the other to be the one to initiate, try to come forward, and close the distance. And I think that's going to be Yuli Hang, at which point she'll get sucked into Sky Nicholson's game, and in many ways, get a taste of her own medicine. What Yuli Hang normally does to girls, Sky Nicholson, I think, is about to do to her. Sky Nicholson on points is the pick for this weekend. The whether or not she actually gets that Ellie Scotney fight, that is something else, and that is provided that Ellie beats Mayeli Flores when they face each other. I think she's going to. I think she's going to be undisputed, but I've been wrong before. Provided that I'm not, and Ellie wins, what does a Scotney versus Nicholson fight look like? Well, I happen to think Ellie Scotney does everything better than Sky Nicholson. Front foot, back foot, moving lateral, in the pocket, outside the pocket. Combinations, I think she does everything better than Sky. She's a much more adaptable fighter than Sky, with a better resume. Because Sky is a bit taller and longer than Ellie Scotney, I figure that Sky would try to fight her the way she fights everybody else, on her toes, on the move, and Ellie would have to close the distance. But I believe that Ellie can, and not only that, but close the distance and outwork Sky Nicholson. It's a fight I believe MVP would have to put together. I don't see Ellie going back to Matchroom to give Sky an opportunity. It would have to be Sky that crosses over, and it would have to be MVP that promotes it. It's a decent fight to make between two of the more well-known female fighters anywhere at or around these weights, and that's how I think it breaks down. I think Sky beats Yuli Hang Luna, but Ellie Scotney beats Sky, and we'll see if that's how the cookie crumbles after this weekend. Men's lightweight news. O'Shaquie Foster urges Shakur Stevenson, "Don't run, chump." Shakur Stevenson might be one of the best defensive fighters on the planet, but O'Shaquie Foster believes he has him backed into a corner. "You're next," Foster told Stevenson on his X account. "Don't run anywhere, chump. If the ring's #1 lightweight wants to hold on to his WBC lightweight title, he may very well have to face Foster at some point. The 32-year-old cruised to a lopsided decision against Stephen Fulton this past weekend in San Antonio. In doing so, he picked up the WBC interim strap. That's in addition to the full title he already holds at 130. Remember, the fight with Stephen Fulton was supposed to be at 130 for a 130-pound title. Foster will soon have a decision to make. The Houston native hasn't decided which division he'll campaign in. He's made it known that Stevenson is his top target for now, though. The Olympic silver medalist has his eyes set on becoming a 4-weight world champion in the upcoming Teofimo Lopez fight. Meanwhile, O'Shaquie still holds a piece of the super featherweight puzzle, and he could stay there long enough to get the winner of Navarrete versus Nunez. It's the funniest thing that he was on the same side of the street as Emmanuel Navarrete for how long? And for whatever reason, Top Rank did not make the fight between them. But let's just say that Sugar Nunez beats Navarrete, becomes unified. Maybe Matchroom will do what Top Rank didn't. Maybe Matchroom would make a fight between Sugar Nunez and O'Shaquie Foster. O'Shaquie's got options. Though him targeting Shakur, it gives you the impression that it's getting tough to make 130 pounds at his age, and maybe he's ready to now move up to lightweight. The whole bit about him fighting Shakur Stevenson is for the birds, because anybody with eyes can see that Shakur isn't likely to return to the lightweight division. After the Lopez fight, if he wins, he said he wants to move up to welter and fight Conor Benn, so that tells the story. And Shakur's belt? The WBC title that he currently holds in the lightweight division might immediately become vacant, at which point O'Shaquie can pick it up and, in effect, become a 2-weight world champion. He would be one of the more mature fighters in today's lightweight division. At lightweight, you've got Floyd Schofield in position to become WBA champion, Andy Cruz, who could soon become IBF champion, and Abdullah Mason, who just became WBO champion. These are comparatively younger fighters than O'Shaquie Foster. Gervonta Davis is also there, but he's not going to do nothing with them and nothing with O'Shaquie, so let's not waste too much time on him. O'Shaquie would be, if he moves up and becomes full champion there, one of the more mature fighters, one of the more mature champions at the weight. They're putting on a very mature performance against 2-weight world champion Stephen Fulton, who, for whatever reason, could not find a way around O'Shaquie Foster's jab. An educated jab, a persistent jab. Stephen Fulton himself is thought of as being a cerebral fighter, a boxer, just like O'Shaquie, but for whatever reason, he couldn't find a way to deal with that jab. And that's what won O'Shaquie the fight, for the most part. It was a jab. Now, is it going to be that way in the lightweight division, where the kids are a little bigger and noticeably younger? O'Shaquie Foster, he's not a big super featherweight, he's not. And he's not going to be bigger in the lightweight division. Will that jab avail him against the size and youth and freshness of a changing lightweight division, a changing landscape? Or is he going to be too small? Which one of the prominent lightweights, the known ones, do you believe O'Shaquie Foster could beat? Because that's how you have to think of it. All this stuff about Shakur Stevenson, they had a long-winded back and forth a few days ago. I didn't spend a lot of time on it because ultimately, I don't think they're going to fight. So it's all much ado about nothing. But you have to think about O'Shaquie versus everybody else, everybody that's there. And if he can walk into a title by being interim champion, he will become a target. What about him telling Shakur Stevenson not to run? If they don't fight, aren't those bad optics for Shakur? Not really. Before O'Shaquie Foster became WBC interim lightweight champion, Shakur was already en route to fight Teofimo at 140. So who's running? And what's a better fight? Lopez at 140 or O'Shaquie Foster at 135? Who's running? Any two boxers having an argument online doesn't result in a fight. It happens all the time. So much ado about nothing. Like I said, Shakur and O'Shaquie are headed in different directions, and the way you got to think of it is O'Shaquie versus everybody else. Everybody at lightweight. Of the lightweights that are there, which ones do you think he can beat. Over to Shakur Stevenson and his upcoming fight with Teofimo Lopez, who he says, Teo is not on this level. I feel that I'm way better than Loma and Josh Taylor. Shakur Stevenson respects Vasyl Lomachenko and everything the three-weight world champion accomplished throughout his celebrated career. The ever-confident Stevenson is certain, nonetheless, that he is better than the legendary Ukrainian southpaw, particularly the version of Lomachenko that Lopez upset in October of 2020. The two most significant victories of Lopez's career came against left-handed opponents in Lomachenko, who was a unified lightweight champion at that time, and Josh Taylor, a former undisputed junior welterweight champion. Where Shakur is a little different to those fighters is he's a younger man. Stevenson promised Lopez during their press conference Wednesday at Madison Square Garden that he won't add another top southpaw to his list of conquests. Teo is not on this level, Stevenson said. Teo is a high-level fighter, but he's not on my level. I'm an elite-level fighter, and come January 31st, I'm gonna show it. DAZN's Chris Mannix, who moderated the press conference for the Ring 6 main event next month, asked Stevenson to elaborate on why he believes he is a level above Lopez. It's because I've seen him at his best, Stevenson explained. Against Taylor, against Lomachenko, he was at his very best. That was the best he could do. I don't think he can do nothing better than that. So what I've seen from those fights, I feel like I'm way better than those guys.
You said what? You're talking about room 40. Yeah. Room 40's nuts.
Faster.
Yo, you.
Huh?
Pause, bro. What's up with you, bro? You been wild
I'll fuck you hard,
bro. Pause.
Fuck you hard.
With Lomachenko, like I said, he didn't throw no punches for 6 rounds. For 6 rounds. So if you ain't throw punches for 6 rounds and you get in front of me, I just don't know what he can do. I would beat Lomachenko that night easy too. That's how I feel. Lomachenko got off to a slow start when he opposed Lopez. The two-time Olympic gold medalists rally during the second half of their 12-round lightweight championship clash wasn't nearly enough to avoid a unanimous decision loss. Scotland's Taylor suffered a definitive loss to Lopez in June of 2023 in the theater at Madison Square Garden. A sharp Lopez topped Taylor by scores of 117-111 and 115-113 on 2 judges' scorecards. Lopez will defend the Ring Magazine and WBO junior welterweight crowns he won from Taylor against Stevenson, who still owns the WBC lightweight title. Stevenson, an Olympic silver medalist in 2016, previously won world titles at feather and junior lightweight divisions. The Newark, New Jersey native is ranked 8th on the Ring's pound-for-pound list. FanDuel established Stevenson as a more than 2-to-1 favorite over Lopez. Got a lot of nervous energy from Teofimo Lopez at that press conference whenever he did say something, because it's like he didn't have anything to say, but he felt pressured to say something. Just all that weird stuff. I agree with Shakur Stevenson's evaluation of the Lomachenko fight. I've said that many times over the years, that I believe Loma's shoulder beat him more than Teofimo, because the fact of the matter is, he didn't do anything. He was fighting with an injured shoulder, likely afraid to let a shot go for fear of the counter, and sensing that the fight was slipping away, he finally decided to act. But by then, it was too little and too late. Yeah, I feel that Lomachenko's shoulder injury beat him more than anything Teofimo Lopez did. And with Josh Taylor, they didn't mention it in this article, but Josh had already arguably lost to Jack Catterall a year prior to the Teofimo Lopez fight. So you got a guy who already looked bad in his last fight. His body was starting to unravel. His body was starting to fail him, so that by the time Teofimo fights him, he's easier to beat. Shakur Stevenson represents a younger challenge than what Teofimo faced in Lomachenko, what he faced in Josh Taylor.
And, you know, you're going to have Shakur jigger my, you know?
You said you're gonna do what?
Jigger my balls.
Huh?
What? Pause, bro.
You fell for wild, bro. I seen a lot of weaknesses in his game too, and something that he said earlier. He said, Teo never lost to a southpaw. Well, I never lost to an orthodox. So it ain't no different, but
the difference is you never fought no elite fighter.
Okay, I don't think y'all did either.
Oh, so you got to show it, baby.
I don't think y'all did either. I ain't see.
Not on my son.
I ain't see Lomachenko throw no punches.
You've never been on a big stage like this.
I didn't see Lomachenko throw punches.
You've
for
never
6
been
rounds.
on a big stage like
I
this.
didn't see Lomachenko throw punches.
'Cause we
for 6
froze him.
rounds. Okay, you gonna see.
We're gonna freeze you too.
You better not throw the towel in.
Come on, man. You out of your mind.
Okay.
My son fought without
Well,
no
see-
air. My son fought without no air against Cambosos.
You can't fight
He
for
got
your
balls.
son. You can't fight
You
for
gonna
your
tell
son.
me, man? Come on.
You can't fight for your son.
I bet you gonna quit.
Yeah, okay, you gonna see.
I already figured your ass out.
You
What
not
else, man?
fighting.
What else you got, man?
Yo,
Hey,
yo,
listen,
senior, you're
And I only
not
seen
in the
10
ring.
seconds of your fight.
I seen you fight before.
I only
You
seen
can't
10
fight.
seconds of your fight. You're boring as hell,
Come on,
man.
bro. Stop it, bro.
Boring, man. You almost got knocked out. Even your
Oh
daughter
my
said
God,
you got
I
knocked
almost
out.
got knocked out. Tio got hurt his
Come
last
on,
fight
man.
too. Didn't he
The
get hurt
Peter
his last
dropped your
fight?
ass, man. If it wasn't for those
Did
ropes.
Tio get hurt his last fight?
My son don't be throwing
Did
punches,
Tio
man.
get hurt his last fight?
My
I
son
watched
don't be
him.
throwing punches,
I paid
man.
attention.
One thing that was said that did grab my attention is when Lopez Sr. claimed Shakur Stevenson had never fought an elite level opponent on the level of a Loma, on the level of a Josh Taylor. Maybe he's right. Maybe that's true. But before Teofimo Lopez fought Loma, what elite opponents had he fought? Masayoshi Nakatani?
Richard Comey?
The logic that they're using against Shakur Stevenson can be turned around on them. What elite opponents had Teofimo fought before he fought Loma? Ultimately, it takes more than what is on paper to decide the outcome of a fight, to decide the outcome of this one. Senior claims that Teofimo is faster than Shakur Stevenson. I think the difference in speed between them is negligible. If there is a difference between them, it's a marginal difference. But to suggest that Teofimo is in fact faster, what, you're faster than him, but not fast enough to get out of the way of Steve Clagette's punches? The image shown here on the top right is from immediately after the Steve Clagette fight. A club-level Canadian fighter did all that to Teofimo.
You sure he's faster?
Canelo has a unique style that works for Canelo himself. Didn't happen that night. I had Crawford winning the fight, and he did. So this is not that, you know? And my best attribute in my skill set is my footwork. So I look forward to seeing how much am I going to develop going against a fighter like him. What did I learn from all the fighters that I faced in my 23 fights as a professional fighter? So exciting.
Is there a rematch clause in this?
No rematch clause. We risk it all the time. No need for a rematch clause.
I think that if the Lopezes could have negotiated a rematch clause for themselves, they would have, because they are the defending champions in this, but it's not their promoter putting it together to get them that leverage. It's not Shakur's promoter either. Shakur doesn't have one. It's Turkey El Sheikh putting it together. And I feel like, well, a lot of what happens is ultimately up to him. And maybe it's about time that we start moving away from rematch clauses. You will notice that in the last 10 years, that's been an industry standard, incorporating a rematch clause into a contract where a rematch afterwards may not be necessary, may not be financially viable. Not having a rematch clause in play raises the stakes. Neither fighter has that safety net, so when they fight, they better fight hard, and they better fight to win.